What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? We are here. This is our first episode of Hangover Sundays podcast with a great guest, Rich Taylor. What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, Mhaffa? What's going on, man? I'm glad to be here. Number one guest. I love it.
You're number one on the show, man. We get a round of applause from that, man. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Let's get started with the show. Is that good?
It's good, bro. Let's do it.
Wake your ass up.
I got a hangover.
Whoa.
Damn, have forgot another one.
We are back. All right. What's going on, my brother? So listen, once again, if you're just tuning in, we are here with the great prestigious Rich Taylor from Harrison Blake Apparel. Oh my gosh. First, let me say this. My brother, thank you again for coming on the podcast and just gracing us with your presence. It's an honor and a privilege.
Man, I'm glad to be here. No, thanks for reaching out. Seriously. Glad to share my story. Hopefully some tips, just inspire some people, man. Thank you.
That's what it's about, man. Man, where do we begin? Let's go here. So, first, we don't sponsor no liquor yet because we don't drink all the liquors that's out. But tonight, I'm drinking on some Sutter Homes, some wine. I'm keeping it real simple and classy because my brother here is simple and class. This is all class right here. We dealing with no riff-raff stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
My brother got the food on the podcast. Come on, man. Check him out right now on Instagram right now at Wear Lapel Pins at Instagram, and you will see all the crazy suits this brother was wearing and getting in. So let's get into it. Okay, my brother, you start off the story, introduce yourself to everybody, let everybody know who you are.
All right, no doubt. Rich Taylor, like you said, Harrison Blake Apparel, started in about 2014 with the men's fashion line. Basically, the reason it's called Wear Lapel Pins, that's what we started with. We just started with lapel pins. That's all we had. We had the biggest selection of lapel pins, about 200 different styles that first year, and then just expanded from there. Before that, I got involved in entrepreneurship in about 2009, self-publishing, and was a fiction author, and then transitioned into a nonfiction book about men's style and fashion. And I thought, man, I need some products to go with my book. And so that's how the Harrison Blake Apparel came about.
Man, that's awesome. So you write books as well as like make clothing?
Yeah, when I first got started, man, my first love is reading and writing. And I put out, I think it's 6 fiction books. I did really well with them on Amazon Kindle. Was a best-selling author on there for a while in the adult contemporary fiction. And my books were like a little bit of romance, a little bit of action. And after that, I just got the itch. I was like, man, if I could sell books, it's hard to sell books. So I figured if I could sell books, let me get a product. That'd be easier to sell. You know what I mean? And so I started with something small. So I was like lapel pins. It was basically an item that I really was interested in at the time. I thought, I think I can make that. I figured out how to make it. And so I brought it to market. And then from there, I just, got aggressive with it. Like, hey, let me expand, man. Started doing ties, pocket squares, monthly subscription. And then recently, like you said, man, we started doing custom suits. So I figured we called it apparel from the beginning, and everybody's like, all you got is pins. But I was like, but I got a bigger vision. You know what I mean? So you just got to have that bigger vision about what you want to do. And sometimes it takes a minute, but hey, we're finally here.
Let me ask you this. Where you rain out of? Like, where y'all from?
Right now, man, my home base where I'm from is Hartford, Connecticut. And but I've been living in Michigan for about 20 years. So, yeah, right outside of Detroit. And, I've been here for a nice minute.
Out there, it was about now 5 months ago. We was looking for some property. You said, it's funny, you said real estate. Me and my wife just started our real estate company.
Oh, nice.
Started that. So we were just in Ohio, Youngstown and up. One of my buddies put me on and told me about some properties they had out in Cleveland. I said, Cleveland was a dream to be at anyway for the most part, just because of the history. But I didn't know how bad like Cleveland was. But then it's like, if you're looking at it from that perspective, the money is to be made there is ridiculous. You can make endless amount of revenue.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, man. We took a trip there last year, me and the wife, and we had a good time. That city is bouncing back. It's on the comeback. So, yeah, if you can get some real estate there or even Detroit, those two cities are real similar with their market. I mean, you can get in there affordably, and you can do well, man, for sure.
I talk about that on another podcast. That's amazing that you deal with us. So we connecting on all levels right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, wow. So because you said a whole lot in that.
Right. Yeah.
How long did that take to really get off the ground? Like, started to say, okay, listen, Rich, this is me. I'm thinking now in my head, what can I do to make money? And now, boom, this idea drops in. What was that idea? The first one that made you run to where you at right now?
Well, the first one was this, man. Like I said, I was doing the writing, and I was getting some good revenue, like I said, off of that, like some side money. You know what I mean? Not like change your whole life, but I mean, it's definitely when you have a job, a 9-to-5, and you can add anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 extra a month into your income. It's like, hey, anybody's gonna celebrate that, right? So that's where I was at. And then I did a nonfiction book and started a YouTube channel. The book was called The Life of a Gentleman. So I'm teaching guys, and especially younger guys or guys that never really got into the whole suit game or never really wanted to present themselves in kind of that way. All the little tips and tricks that you need to do to transition over to step up your suit game and just step up your personal life to live like the gentleman's lifestyle. That was the idea behind it. And so, like I said, I was like, oh, man, you know what would be great? It's a product. So at the time, lapel pins was popping. They're real hot, and they were like $40 each, $30-$40 for one lapel pin. I'm like, man, that's just too much, though. Even for my budget at that time, I was like, no, I can't do that, And so I thought, well, let me just make one, and then if I get laughed at, then no big deal. I just put it up. So I made one. And I wore it to this event, and everybody's like, that's hot, man. Where'd you get that? And I'm like, no, I've been working on something. And then every time I wore it, more and more people wanted it. And then, like, my friends wanted it. And I thought to myself, if people want it, let me sell it. You know what I mean? Why just give it away? I'm not just going to give stuff to people. I'm sitting there figuring out, took me a minute to figure out how to make it. And so I put it up on Etsy. And then I just put it up on, somebody was like, go on Instagram with it and just throw it out there. So that's what I did. I threw it out there on Instagram, and then people just liked it, and it was quick, man. Honestly, I think it was just because it was a hot product for the time. Within that first year, I mean, I did really well with sales. And here's the key, though. I did well with sales, but I didn't spend any of the money, man. I want y'all to hear that part. I did not spend the money. Because I was bootstrapping, I started with a couple $100. I didn't have no investment, no big investors. So I just put all the money that I was making back into the business to get more inventory, and then just expand the line, So I had more and more products. And then once I had enough, it was almost close to a year into the business. Then I started, drawing a little bit out and kicking it back over to my wife, and the family. But at first, man, you just got to keep flipping your money and putting it back into the business.
Right. Every dollar matters. A lot of people, and this is the reason why I kind of started this podcast. We made so much money DJing, you know what I'm saying? And DJing is like a hobby when I first started out, but then we started really making good money from it. It's like you want to build yourself, build your brand, and build, the company when you start, becoming. But it's the hardest thing I think I see people that, like, small entrepreneurs starting up, is they don't reinvest back to them. You know what I'm saying? They would take that money and blow it, or they'll take that money and up it on equipment or nonchalant things that they really don't need. And then that money that they had sacrificed so hard to get, they worked all those long hours. Now you just poof, it's all gone. So now you got to strive again to get that money, to try to do it over and over and over again, No,
exactly. And the thing is, when you do that, like, people, they'll blow it on like a suit or something like that, or some shoes, or just they'll go out and buy a new car, and then the money just goes to the car payment. It's like, your business really can't grow until you have some money to, some real money to invest into it for advertising, product development, to expand your line or whatever, just to upgrade your website, your logo, all, you know what I mean? Just get official, maybe get an LLC, whatever. But if you're just pulling money out of it, like right from the jump, I mean, you're defeating the purpose of having some success. It's like, if it's working, just be patient. I always try to tell people, just be patient. And in the long run, it'll benefit you, man, rather than sucking it right out, because you can't grow without that money.
Now, you said your company, and I did my homework a little bit, as much as I could. This is a family-owned and family-operated business. I love that, because our company is exactly the same way, What makes you oriented, and why did you choose that?
Man, you know what? I did it really because it starts with the name first, Harrison Blake. Trying to figure out a name for the company right from jump. My wife's like, yo, you've had so many different ideas over the years. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I've done it all, from trash hauling to selling suits. You know what I mean? So she, multi-level marketing. She was like through with it. And this was like, probably idea number 20. And she's like, why don't you name it something so that you take it serious and you have something to like pass on or just have some pride. So she was like, name it after your son. So, I give that credit to her. So we did that, named it after my son. And then after that, my daughter, she's older, and she's really been helping a little bit more with the business. And she really took to entrepreneurship, just watching shows like Shark Tank, and just, it's like a family affair, man. Just everybody getting involved with the entrepreneurship. So my goal was like, okay, it was 2014. I thought, well, man, she's going to graduate in like 2024. So she's about to be a freshman. And I was like, this will be great if she could work this job through high school, through college, and not have to worry about, getting money from other places and having to go, look for employment. And then maybe if I can keep it going, that was my motivation. I could pass it on to them if they want. It's something, transferring wealth down the line, transferring something of value. And then my mom retired, and she started working with me. And so it's like, that was just a much better fit than I had some other younger college age guys working with me at the very beginning. And they just didn't take it serious, man. I'll be honest. And I was like, from here on out, like, I'm going to just keep it all family. It was cool to have the help and the support, but it really wasn't what I needed. And nobody's really going to support you and dig in like your family, though. And so I'm just really trying to pass it on. And the way it's set up, I don't really need a whole ton of people to run and operate it. You know what I mean?
Right. It looks like you're from what I've seen on the website and from what I've seen on Instagram, you look like what's that place? Men's Warehouse, the big designers. I mean, the big designer companies. And you're saying this to me, and it's like baffling, because you say it doesn't take that a lot, but you're doing so much.
Yeah, man, I'm a busy dude. I will say that. Even my brother, it's funny. I tried to get him involved at the beginning. He didn't want no part of it. So it's funny, like, everybody doesn't want to be involved with it, but he always says, man, hustling's not for everybody. He just doesn't have that gene. I got all that DNA. So I'm the one, man. I'm grinding all the time. I really am. But the thing is, I love it. I love being creative with the styling. I do all the styling. I pick all the pieces. My daughter helps me with the orders and fulfillment. I do the social media. And so outside of just kind of fulfilling the orders and packing up the orders and the monthly subscription stuff, putting that together, the rest of it's pretty much me. And especially with the suits, the one-on-one consultations and stuff, when people get the custom suits, they get me as well. I mean, so it's like I've learned a new skill in doing that as far as doing all the measurements and stuff. So I love to grow, man. I love to learn, and I love to stay busy. You hit me anytime, I'm probably not even asleep. People always say, man, how are you so accessible? I'm always up. I'm always going.
It's always running, trying to chase the next wave or the next idea or the next. I hear you 100%, man. When you first started, they on your website, it said that you were a supervisor for an apparel warehouse company.
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, most definitely. I can talk about it a little bit. We were basically making garments for the U.S. government, and that's about as far as I can go with it. And then also we did prototype work for smaller companies. Well, I mean, they're companies, some of them were lingerie companies. We did prototypes for them. We did New Balance, some work for them, and other small like weather tech type companies, making jackets and stuff like that for cold weather gear. And so what I was doing was the supervising over the spreading and cutting, which is the spreading of the fabric over, and then the cutting it down into patterns. And so we had, if anybody knows anything about that, it's kind of hard to describe if you've never seen it, but it's basically giant air hockey tables that the fabric gets spread out and rolled onto. And when I say spread out and rolled, it looks like if you go to a big carpet store, that's how wide and how big that the fabric is. And you spread that 10, 20 layers, and then everything gets cut into patterns like that. And then from there, it's taken out to the sew team. But I got to really know the ins and outs of fabric, man, and just the process of how things are made and really how cheap, textiles are as compared to a finished good. And I was like, man, the markup on clothing is astronomical. I mean, if you go to the store, right, and you see sometimes the clearance and stuff out at 75, 80%, they're still making money. You know what I mean? That's the markup on clothing. So that's what, a light bulb went off. I'm like, man, I could do this.
That's crazy that you said that. We went to what was that place? North Carolina, Highland, I think, or High Point. Yeah, I think it's High Point.
Yes.
In North Carolina, where everybody does furniture. The district, it's like the regional district wholesalers. Man, we went out there, and I couldn't believe a couch that would cost, like, say, Bob's Stores or Bob's Discount or whatever, maybe $2,000. They want like not even $100, $200 for these couches. So, like custom leather couches, So I'm like, I know that those guys were making a lot of money off of fabric, but I was like, where did they get this fabric? Maybe China or wherever. But it didn't even matter because they were selling it at such a markup cost that it didn't even matter, what the price or how much they paid for it. They were making almost triple their dollar on that,
Exactly. It's the same type deal. And that's why I thought, man, this would be a good business to get into. I mean, it's almost like as long as you can market it pretty good, you can't lose. You're really not going to lose money. I mean,
you're definitely my new tailor because I was looking for one.
Yeah, I can hook it up, man. Let's do it.
Church a lot, but church been dead for a long time now. So like, but you now my new tailor. I'm gonna step in there clean as I don't know what.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, and that's what I love about it. You can get creative. The customer can anything they can imagine, we can create. Any style, any design, and it's such a wide variety of patterns and stuff. The possibilities are endless, man. I love it.
I hear you, brother. This is the big question, the major question. I'm pretty sure everybody want to know, man. How have this whole entire shutdown with this COVID-19 crap, how has this affected your business, or have it affected your business, or how has it affected you, personally, or just go deep into this now,
Yeah, man. I'll tell you right now, at the beginning, like, I didn't really take it serious. I think a lot of us didn't. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was just like, then they started shutting things down and watching the news, and I'm thinking to myself, that's it, man. I'm done, Like who, like you said, who's going to wear anything to church, or who's going to, business? I mean, you don't need it. But let me tell you this. I turned that stuff off, man. I said, you know what? If this is going to be it and we're going to go out, I'm going to go out swinging. I'm going to advertise harder. I'm going to promote more, put more energy into my social media. And the past 2 months have been the best 2 months I've had in a few years, man. Yeah, straight up. I mean, it's the bounce back has been tremendous. I'm like, I don't know what it is about people being locked down. They just feel like, they want to stock up on stuff, or they just want to support a small business. But it has really been a blessing these past few months, and we have done extremely well and been super busy on the smaller items. Now, as far as suits, I haven't sold a lot of suits the past few months, but as far as the accessories, the ties, pocket squares, bracelets, all that stuff's flying off the shelves. And I got a lot of interest on the suits, and people saying when it opens up, they're going to jump on it. So we'll see.
you got a customer with me, man. Like I said, I got the radio show. I'm on the radio as well. So you know, I advertise all day long. That's what we do. We do commercials now.
Appreciate it.
I mean, I done started doing more commercials and videos and stuff for me, and just sitting home. I just don't want to like not waste this time. You know?
Yeah, exactly, man. You know?
Nothing. I just want to do something and gotta keep focused and gotta keep busy. But that's amazing, man. I'm so grateful. I'm glad that you're going well. A lot of people are like losing their businesses, and you know, people are going all the way to the point where they just now back on unemployment that they've been working for themselves for so many years.
I know, man. It's a blessing. Like I said, it's just like I've been hearing, you know, mixed stuff. I subscribe to a lot of information about entrepreneurship, and it's 50-50, like you said. A lot of businesses are knocking it out the park, doing really well, having record, you know, sales, and then some are struggling, you know, and it's tough, man. I mean, I got out there at the beginning and I wasn't afraid to say, hey guys, you know what? If you want us to stick around, try to just think about supporting us, you know, and just pick up one or two items, you know, we'd appreciate it. And I think that helped, man. A lot of people did jump on the website, and I saw some small orders come in, but you know, all that adds up, man. I was just transparent and just, you know, I wasn't afraid to, you know, put out my concerns about what could happen if I didn't have the support.
And let me ask you this is a question here. Since you said that, what is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, man. I think one of my biggest failures is I expanded into a different market pretty quickly at the very beginning. I got some advice from somebody who was kind of like acting as a consultant, and I'm not placing blame because it was my idea too. We expanded, tried to do women's. Like it was like, oh, we'll do Harrison Blake for girls. You know, it's like try to do some women's stuff. Man, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, the products just didn't resonate. That was a flop. And so, and then I went and revisited that again, like 4 years after the fact. Did a little better that time around. So we still have women's stuff on the website, but still not the success that I wanted. What that really taught me is stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Know what you're good at. I'm good at men's accessories. I'm good at men's style, men's fashion. I can help people come up with different ideas and stuff like that. A lot of times you want to serve everybody. You get greedy as an entrepreneur and you think, man, if I could just get a little bit of that market, you know, we could kill it. But sometimes you just got to stay in your lane, do what you're good at, you know, and just master your craft.
Right. That's awesome. That's good advice, man. Really good advice. Where can your listeners connect with you online at?
Man, Instagram is where we're, you know, most heavily visible. Like you said, at Wear Lapel Pens on Instagram. As of late, I will be posting a lot of YouTube content coming up really soon. And that YouTube channel is called The Life of a Gentleman, as well as our podcast that we've had for about 3 years. It's also called The Life of a Gentleman, which was named after that first nonfiction book that I wrote. And what it is, if you want to be inspired and learn from other entrepreneurs, what we do is I sit down and interview content creators and entrepreneurs on there. So that's a good way to get to know me and get to know a little backstory about the company. But Instagram and the podcast, man, those are the big ones. And, of course, the website. And you can see it, you know, harrisonblakeapparel.com. You know, it's a great place.
Down, I'm connected with you now. I got another brother I know in Michigan. When I come back out there, we're going to turn up.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. We'll do that.
Let me see. Another question. Let's see. I just have random questions I like to throw out there just to see where, you know, the listeners like to hear these things. What have you read or listened to in the recent month, and how did they inspire you?
In the recent month, man, I haven't read a lot of books. I've read some ebooks about I can't remember the name of it. It was a first, you know how you go on Instagram and somebody's offering something for free and it's like a free, then it leads to the next thing. So it was one of those deals, and it was all about how to, during this crisis, communicate to your audience. and connect with your audience. So I've been working on doing that. And what I've been doing is kind of just putting that into play. And the reason I bring that up is because from 2014 to 2019 on Wear Lapel Pins, I was nowhere to be found personally. I was behind the scenes. You would see the mannequin, you would see Flat Lays, other guys. I would never show my face. So nobody knew who I was. They didn't know anything rich. You know, they just, if they listened to the podcast enough, they might have been able to connect the dots and say, hey, wait a minute, that's the dude from Harrison Blake. But so what I started doing is applying what I learned from that book. And also there was an online training that I took talking about that, communicating to your customer base. And so, man, the past, 8 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, I've been on the @Wear Lapel Pins Instagram in the stories. I did a video explaining the back history of the business, and all this is recent and new. So it's just new stuff that I'm implementing simply out of necessity because, look, man, I got to do something different right about now because, you know, everything's on the table. You know what I mean? Like you said, with the COVID shutdown, I don't want to take the chance of just not being able to connect. I'm thinking to myself, I got to do something different. So that's the training I invested in. I've really been studying up on that, telling the story of the business, letting people in a little bit. Nobody knew anything about it other than they thought it was a big corporate conglomerate. Like you said, if you go to the Instagram page, you think it's like Men's Warehouse Junior or something like that, or a rival of it. It's just really it's me and my family just doing what we love, you know?
Rounding it out. So
Yeah, man.
that's amazing, bro. Yeah, so you're inspiring me so much, my brother. It's a pleasure again hearing.
Appreciate it.
So there's more. Another thing is I'm learning now as I'm going through this journey of entrepreneurship that if you really want to be successful, you got to be around like-minded people. You know.
Oh man, yeah.
And that's a bonus, but it's a must that you have to be around like-minded people. So you are on point, man. You already got it together. You're doing your thing, and it's amazing, man. So I have another. Always got questions, bro. This is side. Everybody.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got me. I'm free, man.
Like hear about like people clothing design. There's a lot of people that want to get into this clothing design world because of like Gucci's and Prada's and stuff.
Yeah.
Back home support, like I'm on that heavy, you know, but because I think that we got so much talent because we buy from everybody, but we make trends. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is one person to buy your stuff and it's a wrap. You won't. So what would you tell somebody coming into the business or trying to get into the business? A little bit of like your little personal advice that you would give to them.
You know what? I would say get into the business, just kind of figure out your marketing scheme, you know, where you want to position yourself. Like you mentioned some luxury brands. I mean, if you want to come into it and establish yourself as luxury, I mean, then you're going to have to stay there. You know, I came into it on the affordable tip. Honestly, you know, all my stuff is always attainable for the average Joe. That was my idea behind it. We really don't have a slogan per se, but on our marketing materials, we say dress well and stay humble. Another one of my catchphrases is luxury for all, you know, because I feel like everybody should be able to look their best and feel their best. So, you know, my position of it was to have something that's kind of affordable and attainable for everybody. But when you come into this fashion thing, you really got to make a choice. Like, you know, what am I going to do? Like I said, are you going to do women's? Are you going to do men's? Are you going to do both? Just make sure you know exactly what you want to do and really not to knock any hustles because I know there's a lot of like T-shirt companies and stuff out there. I would encourage people to think outside of the box and do more than just a logo on a T-shirt because, I mean, that really can only take you so far. The more products you have I mean, if you have a whole like athletic line, that's cool, but just think bigger. You know what I mean? Don't settle and think like, you know, I'm gonna just do these T-shirts. Like, no, you can do more than that. You know what I mean? There's jewelry out there. There's some great black-owned watch companies out there that I really love. You just have to really dig in and say, this is what I want to do. Like, boom, stake your claim and just go for that and just broaden your horizons.
Right. Man, that's awesome. Put them words right down, sign it, seal it, and deliver it, because that is it. That's awesome,
Yeah.
brother. All right, so this is Hangover Sundays, and it wouldn't be Hangover Sundays if we wouldn't play a game. Of course, we play games, and they have to be either drinking games or drinking games. So,
Okay.
because we do formal for a little bit. Everybody's informed and stuff, but we have some fun. When we get in the studio, better, man. We got cooks, and we have a live DJ, and we're just going to be acting a fool, and it'll be way more cooler. Maybe we just come out there and do a podcast out there in Michigan.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, so this is the deal. We ask you a question. If you get the question wrong, you got to drink.
Okay. Oh man, what's the category? What is this?
This is whatever.
Let's go.
All right. How many colors are in the rainbow?
7.
Damn, that's it. 7. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get your ass this one. Name the dog in the traditional Punch and Judy show.
Punch and Judy show.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just saying Labrador.
I don't know. Favorite, but you might have to take a sip.
I take a sip. I don't even know what that was, but let's go.
This is Labrador. That was good. I didn't know that either. I had no idea. What is the large tent called when you use to put a house on a circus?
I don't know, man. I'm lost.
I think it's up with you on that one. 'Cause these questions are hard.
Yeah, man. I don't know where you're getting these. It's like Jeopardy challenge round or something.
Well, it's the point of it is to probably just drink more. Probably that. Okay, put the podcast up anyway, so that we're gonna run through it.
Right.
How many squares are on a chessboard?
Wow. I don't know. Let's see, 64.
Man, you good. 64 is right.
All right, here we go.
I ain't gonna go to no time soon because you'll crush me, bro. All right, we play some fire questions, some rapid fire questions. It's like
Let's do it.
1 minute. You gotta just say either or. Okay, so you ready?
All right.
Would you rather text or talk?
Talk.
All right, favorite day of the week?
Saturday.
All right, favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in now?
Vegas.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
Mar.
Last song you downloaded?
Dang, that song I downloaded. Something by actually, you know what it was? It was Mink Slide. It was the Mink Slide album. Yeah.
Favorite holiday?
Memorial Day.
Last one. Fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is
Trash.
so funny. I will call it what it is. She's garbage. What it is. I can say he love her, so we love her too. What? So much fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. That's the time we got for now. We got to tune in next Sunday and catch another guest on it. But today, this guy is it. Like I said, my people, listen, he's gonna give his shout outs who he want to talk to. He's gonna tell pretty much where and how you can find him. And if you need to speak with anyone or talk to him, that man is a consultant as well with the jillion other jobs behind him.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Everybody just check us out on Instagram at Wear Lapel Pins, HarrisonBlakeApparel.com. And of course, check out my podcast. It's The Life of a Gentleman. New show on Mondays, every other Monday. So we talk with a lot of business owners and content creators, and man, I make them give up all the little secrets and tips, and so you guys don't make the mistakes that we made. So that's the idea behind it. Really, just to inspire people and build a community of people doing positive things, man. So I appreciate you having me on. really had a lot of fun too. You stumped me with a couple of those questions though.
Awesome, man. Listen, I want to be on that podcast, man. I want to sit down and I'm gonna start watching it definitely because I want to be more around entrepreneurship. You know, this is my thing. I have a 9-to-5 now, but my 9-to-5 is a career type job. But I'd more address entrepreneurship since I became a DJ, and then I own my Trending Vibes Entertainment is my company. We do parties, promotions, weddings, all that stuff. When it got to that level, it became serious. You know,
That's it.
this thing like you can sit down and you can work for you, and then you come home and you play with the kids, and then you can go back and work again a little bit more. I think that was the breaking point was the family. Like you said, bottom line is pass something on to the kids. When this is over, they ain't gotta work in no summer youth jobs, and they ain't gotta worry.
Right. Yeah. No McDonald's, no grocery store and all that. You know what I mean? Like it's man, before we go, you know what I mean? Like if anybody's listening and they work the 9-to-5, who cares? That's fine. You know, that's great, man. You just getting double. The thing is, just do something that you love on the side, and especially if you have kids, because it changes their whole mindset, man. And just watching my kids now, they're 10 and 14, and they got so many different dreams and aspirations that when I was their age, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was thinking, you know, what am I going to do for work? And I never could pick a career. You know what I mean? I ended up going to school for business, you know, just because I couldn't really think of anything. And now seeing them, they have all kinds of different ideas, you know, and they always say, and we'll still do Harrison Blake, Dad. We'll still do Harrison Blake, but we're going to do this other stuff too. And that's the thing that makes me the most happy out of anything, man. That's the most rewarding part of it all.
So you're a good brother, bro. Like I said, you thank God for you, man. I hope God continue to bless you and your family and your brothership and your brotherhood and everything that you're doing right now, just because, yo, we need more like you out there, you know, functioning in that role as a father, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and everything beyond that. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing your platform with me, and honored to be the first guest. And when you come to Michigan, man, let's do it. Let's get together for sure.
I definitely, Rich, appreciate you coming on the show today. That's
Thank you,
awesome.
man.
So much for tuning in. Come back again for Hangover Sundays podcast show with Evoluxion Allstars. Your host DJ Mhaffa right here holding it down with y'all guys. Love y'all, and we'll see y'all next week. Whoa.